Hello, Master Manifester. Today we're talking about meditation, zero point states, and the manifestation multiverse. So, to start with, reality kind of has chapters. There are absolute points in physics where the state is definitive, and part of the reason it does that is it keeps the entire system structure working. All systems need absolute points. Otherwise, it would just basically be chaos. It's like devolving into entropy. If you don't have fixed points in the system, nothing makes sense. There's no reference, there's no context. So, what these fixed points are like, this is my theory on how this works in the quantum. This is especially considering like the recent 2022 Nobel Prize, where they figure out that the universe isn't locally real. Well, kind of applying similar concepts to meditation and manifestation. When a particle is not in a definitive physical state, it's in a fuzzy state. It's in a potential state of could be anything. But if we're considering the rest of physics, there has to be absolute points. So there's infinite possibilities and options that will take you to these absolute points. Now, in the many worlds theories, there could be different systems of absolute points, right? It's not completely infinite in the absolute points. The story still needs to make sense to your mind, right? It might be infinite in other perspectives, possibly. But when we're focusing in on this particular reality in this character, having these ideas of absolute fixed points, like when you want to do like a past revision, right? Memory is like absolute fixed points. Memory is really just the recording of the chemical changes in your brain at the time that that happened. And then you interpret it however you interpreted it then, and then you basically do it again and reinterpret it. So you're really just accessing a copy of a copy of a copy of a memory, right? So in your consciousness of the story that you're in, your reality has chapters. It has memory chapters. You doing this and this event occurred. And these chapters give context and make time seem linear for us in the experience that we're having so that this experience can make sense. And your brain will just fill in whatever details, literally hallucinate like ChatGPT, not even kidding. It'll just fill in the details with whatever makes sense and makes the story cohesive. So you got to be really watchful of finding evidence of certain things, especially if you have strongly held beliefs and deep memories, that are like your core memories. And analyzing them, even with slightly different interpretations, can change the entire experience. You don't necessarily even need to rewrite the past to rewrite it for you, if that makes sense. You just reinterpret the situation and add more information. You can acknowledge what was and then just add more information. So it's just an alternative potential for revision manifestation. Just try reinterpreting it rather than actually changing the events themselves, because the new interpretation changes your state and actually adds more context because it's not taking away something bad. It's like, oh, I understand that this is more than what I thought it was. So how to tune your frequency to the chapters that you want to have now coming up. How do you tune yourself to those absolute story points, right? Basically, it starts with getting to the 0 point. Now, I think of Zazen meditation from Zen Buddhism when I think of a 0 point energy of a particle, which is the absolute lowest level energy, but it's still vibrate. It's still waiting to become something. It's in that fuzzy potential state. Basically, Zazen meditation is you are getting yourself to that fuzzy state of potential. I can be anything. I am everything. I can solidify into any particular point or state or experience that I want to have as I move through your story. Remember, these outcomes are only temporary. You get the outcome and the story keeps going, right? So seeing it in terms of what is the chapters that I want? What are the contexts, these things that I want, these specific memories? And a lot of the time I like to add in things that I might not like, but it's like particularly something I don't mind not liking. Like, oh, and maybe I'm going somewhere and it takes longer than usual to get the packages that I want. But, whether it's a little bit irritating, I don't really mind waiting. It's kind of that visceral feeling of everydayness, that really solidifies those absolute points in time for your particular consciousness. So the vibration is the oscillation, the movement back and forth of energy, right? Around a center point. That's the vibration. Your frequency is the rate per second, in hertz, the rate per second of that oscillation. How many times is it going through a cycle, right? Now, when two systems have the same frequency and vibration, they can easily exchange information because otherwise they're just going to ignore each other. Now, let's correlate that with what the brain does. Your reticular activating system filters information or tuning the frequency and the vibration, right? Based on your vibration, whatever it is that your energy exchange is right now, and whatever your rate is right now. These two things work together, flip sides of the same coin. Whatever that is, it's going to notice those things. And anything that doesn't align, that isn't coherent with that frequency and vibration, with that experience, with that, focus of that awareness, is going to get filtered out. Either it's going to be changed to match, be completely ignored. You won't even see it. It won't even come into your conscious awareness. Like your brain does this all the time. It has to save energy, to keep your story coherent, where it's not so much noise that you can't notice anything. We're already getting to a point with that, with a lot of things. And I'm sure, a lot of you have seen that. Just so much information. We're way too much information and not enough time to process the information. And then you see these brains are working overtime, getting anxiety, getting stressed out. Anxiety is a feature. It's telling you need to slow down and you need to put in less information or be more selective about your information. So I'm telling you, do the same thing, but do that with the points of your manifestation. So in the Zazen meditation, 0 point, getting back to that, what that does is it lets you tune in fully to the current frequency. You are just sitting, you are paying attention, you're breathing slowly, deeply, normally, getting full breaths, watching thoughts, not clinging to the thoughts, not ruminating thoughts, and not letting them run wild, just observing what your frequency is feeding you right now. What emergent properties are coming out of your current vibration or frequency? What is your system currently experiencing? And what sensations is it giving you? And just really doing that for, 5 to 10 minutes a day can seriously make a huge difference with this. Now, if you can do it longer and kind of build up to maybe even sporadically doing it for 5 minutes here, 5-10 minutes there throughout your day, I try to pop in like as often as I think of it, which is, probably maybe 30 times a day. I mean, that's just a guess. But I do it quite often. Like, I probably check in like every hour at least, maybe a couple of times an hour sometimes. And sometimes I'm just really sitting with it for a long period of time because I need to see what the result is right now of what I previously had in my system. Because right now is what came before, right? You set the programming or you allowed it to run. And if you made changes, then later on is when you see it, right? You set the program and then it runs through the story. You basically like sprinkled on, some ingredients into your story. And then it gets integrated by your mind and becomes part of that cohesion. So the more still that you can be, the more you can notice. And this is the key, because the things you want are already available. They're already there. The experiences, the feelings, the physical things themselves are not the real things. They're just like words. Words are a representation of a real thing, but our brain shrinks it down to the thing. That's what happens in physical reality. You can have these feelings in visualization, in dreams. You can have it, through your meditation, through watching movies. We have those actual visceral experiences of what it feels like to have these things. That's why we like movies and stories so much. We're the character there for a few minutes, and you have it all the time. The thing is to bring it forward into the physical, to let the story naturally unfold it. You need to recognize that it is both having and not having at the same time, because you're in the fuzzy state of attention. All right, I know that was kind of circular, but we came back around to your absolute fixed points in the story. These are your memories. So you need to be interpreting your memories and your beliefs and your identity system. But I really think in the story points, like the memories are the most, what beliefs you glean from those memories, what predictive processing programs, your identity, what you take out of those memories when it comes to absolute fixed points. So again, the more you observe, the more you sit, the more you allow, and don't try to interfere with, and don't say, no, 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 that's not me. Just let whatever comes up, come up. Let it be there. Just let yourself feel it through, feel through any of the emotions, and then you can see where you are, and then you can kind of look and say, okay, this is the direction I want to go. This is the path that I want to follow to my next absolute point. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and sign up for the Method Muse newsletter in the description below.